Hey everybody, welcome back. We're at part two. The Maytag Whirlpool Kenmore refrigerator ice or water dispenser actuator pad replacement. We got to route the wire now through that bottom hole. That's the proper hole. That's the way it was when I removed it. And so this is where it's a little bit tricky, but not too bad. You see I routed the wire, I snaked it up. Go up until you can grab it, basically. It's the easiest way to do it. I've found that once you grab it, you can carefully, I'm doing all this with one hand, but with two hands it's even easier. You just remove that gray plate, move it away a little bit more, and there's even more room to work. Snake it all the way through so you can grab it out the front, and that allows you to mount the actuator. And to mount it, you simply looking at the shape of these two tabs, you insert the bottom one first, straight in. Make sure the top one is lined up and in the hole, straight in, and then apply pressure down. You'll hear it, feel it click, and once it's clicked in, it's in for good. At least that's the final placement, and sufficient for us to continue with the wire routing. The wire, you just want to make sure it's not kinked or hung up on anything behind this gray back base plate here. As long as it's not, and it's routed somewhere in the back there, looks like there's nothing really critical that it could be kinked on. Make sure you have it routed out that little notch. There's like a little notch at the top right of the backing plate. You could see it there. With the wire routed properly, you can just snap the backing plate back into place. You just simply apply some pressure inward and then press the tabs into their spot. Once you take a look at it, you can get an idea how it clips in. It's pretty simple stuff. Now we want to insert the ice and water dispenser mechanisms, where the water and ice actually comes out of. It's going to sort of ride on a rail and then clip in. So just line it up, make sure it's level and even. Line up both sides before pushing all the way back. You don't want to click a tab in with it cocked. So make sure it's lined up straight. You can see both of those holes there for the bolts. And once it is, you can slide it and you'll feel it. The tabs click as they engage. Keep an eye on, be mindful of the other wire on the other side. It should have not moved, but in case it did, you want to double check at this point now that that wire is routed. The top left there, the wire for the actuator for the ice. Once it's connected again, tabbed in tight, you can put the electrical wire first. That's what I've got now. You just want to have the water line up and out of the way. The electrical wire goes in that tab first, and you want to clear the water line to the top so you have room here for the screws to go back in, the little bolts that you could use a nut driver on. It's easier to actually put the bolts in first and then worry about that larger electrical wire and the water line. So you want to do those bolts first. Once you're sure that the dispenser's snug and pushed all the way back and the tabs have clicked, you want to tighten those bolts up, not too tight. And then as you can see, that water line, the way it sits, it doesn't give you a lot of room for this wire, the electrical wiring. So you want to put that up and in behind that little tab there first. Just maneuver it so that it can sneak in there. It's a little difficult with one hand. Two hands, it's a piece of cake. And then once that's in its place, there we go. You can take the water line and run it where it belongs, between those tabs at the top, and we're almost done. Just make sure any of the other electrical wiring is the way it was. There's a sensor there. Mine was just hanging in that position, so that's where I'm leaving it. Everything looks good. Then the next thing you want to do is plug the actual electrical connector. Make sure that's plugged into the control board. Just tug on it one more time before you actually connect the control panel. There it is there. Plug it in, make sure it's orientated the right way. It'll snap in, give it a little tug. And now we can start to reattach the control panel, the face plate there, to the front of the fridge. Just make sure again the wiring is routed, it's not kinked. You want to feed the wire in a little bit into that hole that it's coming out of. If you can try and put as much of that extra additional wire in on both sides as you can, it'll make it a lot easier and reduce the chance of you clipping something or snagging something, getting it caught when you install the control panel back onto the front of the fridge. Alright, so now if you remember, there's these 3 tabs, the black tabs here on the top. Those go simply insert into their hole, their respective hole. They make sure they're lined up, put pressure up, get the 3 tabs on the top inserted, and then snap in the bottom of the control panel, and that'll snap the bottom tabs tight. Take a look underneath, check your actuator pads. Once you're convinced everything looks the way it should be, you can start installing that bottom tray. It's sort of seals off the fridge, I guess like a last catch for any extraneous water drippings or ice cubes that melt. And you simply put that in place and reattach the 2 bolts. Just make sure when you snug down the bolts you don't tighten them too much, and we'll be on to the next step. Now you're going to notice the raised part in the center there, that this here is a groove on the bottom of the plate. That groove slides onto the raised part, and you want to make sure that that's lined up. So you press it down on top of it, line it up, and slide it towards the refrigerator, and you should hear it click in once it's inserted all the way. Here you can see I lined it up, placed it right on the groove, keeping it level. Make sure it's attached to the groove, and then you slide it forward or backward, either way, toward the refrigerator. Well, now it's time to test. So remember, we unplugged it for safety reasons. You can go ahead and plug the refrigerator back in, and once it's plugged back in, you should hear the control panel in the refrigerator beep and boot up. This is what it looks like. I couldn't get a matching pad, as you recall, but all systems look like they're go. Try out the ice maker. We got nice ice coming out. Try out the water dispenser. Beautiful. Back in business. It's another problem solved. I hope this helped you out. I know it's not a very common problem, but it is a problem that I've come across, so I thought I'd share. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please pound that subscribe button so I can continue to do more. Take care. Thanks for watching.